Subscribe before the truth disappears. The words echoed in Lena Mercer's head as the blue and red wash of cruiser lights pulsed across the empty street and the abandoned sedan. At 2:19 a.m., the town of Elkhart Grove was mostly asleep, except for the cul-de-sac of fast food wrappers, crime scene tape, and exhausted uniforms converging on a car that shouldn't have been empty. Lena stepped under the tape, the night air slick with fryer grease drifting from the Horizon Burger 2 blocks away. The sedan sat half at the curb, half in the street, driver's door hanging open like a mouth mid-sentence. "Detective Mercer?" a young patrolman called, breath frosting in the cold. "Unit ran the plate, registered to a Dylan Reyes, 28, warehouse worker out by the industrial park." She nodded, pulling on nitrile gloves. "Who found it?" "Jogger. Said the headlights were on, door open, nobody around. Called it in at 2:11. She leaned into the car. The dome light glowed weakly, dust floating in the beam. A paper bag sat in the cup holder, grease bleeding through the bottom. The lid of a soda cup was still beaded with condensation. The smell of salt and onion hit her. The seats were clean, no blood, no scuff marks on the dash. The keys were still in the ignition. The engine was off, the dashboard clock blinking 2:03 over and over, stuck in reset. "The food's still warm," she murmured. "Yeah," the patrolman swallowed. "Horizon Burger bag. Timestamp on the receipt is 2:02 a.m. That's what, 17 minutes ago?" Lena plucked the receipt with 2 fingers, eyes scanning the thermal ink. Combo number 4, add cheese. Total, $9.68. Paid card. "No wallet?" she asked. "Right here," another officer said, stepping up with a clear evidence bag. "Found on the front passenger seat. Cash, cards, license. No phone." Lena's gut tightened. No wallet? Different story. No phone? It was all wrong. "Canvass the block," she ordered. "Cameras, ring doorbells, anybody up at this hour. I want to know if this car stopped, if anyone got out, if anyone got in." She straightened, eyes tracing the silent houses. Stale Christmas lights sagged along one roof line. A porch light flickered on the corner. Somewhere, a TV murmured behind curtains. A late-night drive-thru, a car found empty within 10 minutes, the food still hot. No footprints trailing away, no obvious struggle, just an open door and a blinking clock. It felt less like someone had run and more like someone had been erased. Horizon Burger at 2:30 a.m. was a fluorescent island of exhaustion. The dining area was empty, chairs upside down on tables. Only the drive-thru lane was alive, wrapped around the building like a lazy river of headlights and pop music leaking from cracked windows. Night manager Clay Porter stood near the front counter, rubbing at a grease stain on his polo that was never going to come out. His eyes were the red-rimmed kind that came from working doubles and drinking too much cheap coffee. "We already gave the patrol guys the footage, but you probably want to see it yourself." The office was barely bigger than a closet, humming with old hardware. A DVR tower the size of a small fridge blinked with tiny green LEDs beneath a desk cluttered with paperwork and ketchup packets. "Walk us through it," Lena said. Clay clicked his mouse, pulling up the quad-screen view. 4 angles: the menu board, the drive-thru window, the parking lot, and the interior counter. "There," Clay pointed. "That's him." The timestamp in the corner read 2:01:17. A dark sedan rolled up to the speaker, its shape smeared and grainy under the harsh halo of the menu board. Lena watched the brake lights glow, watched the car inch forward. In the window cam, the night shift cashier, a young woman with tired eyes and a name tag that read Jess, handed a bag through the opening. The driver's profile was visible. Young guy, hoodie, some stubble along the jaw. Not enough pixels to catch his eye color, but clear enough to see the way he looked down at the bag, then up at her, distracted. "Did you remember him?" Lena asked. Clay nodded. "Jess took the order. She said he was polite. Said, 'Have a good one.' Nothing weird." On screen, the exchange lasted seconds. Bag through window, soda cup, credit card, receipt. At 2:02:03, the digital clock in the corner ticked, and then every feed went black. All 4 squares cut to a navy blue screen with white text. System restarting. Do not power off. Lena's jaw flexed. Skip ahead, Marcus said. Clay clicked through. 15 seconds of blue. 20, 30. At 2:03:03, the cameras came back online. The menu board was empty. The drive-through lane was clear. The parking lot showed nothing but an old pickup parked near the dumpster. The sedan was gone. No exit. No taillights leaving. No car wrapping around the building. Clay's fingers trembled slightly on the mouse. I scrubbed it like 10 times. That's all there is. System reboot. 1 minute exactly. Your cameras reboot every night at 2? Marcus asked. No, they auto restart at 4 a.m. That's what corporate said. I checked. I don't know what this is. It's never done that before. The only thing I can think is maybe we lost power, but he gestured vaguely. The fryers, the register, lights, none of it blinked. Lena leaned closer to the screen, replaying the sequence again. The car, the order, that friendly little exchange of fast food and pleasantries, the clock hitting 2:02:03, and the instant jump to blue. Logs? She asked. Does this thing keep logs? Clay nodded, minimized the footage, and opened a system window. Lines of text and numbers scrolled past. He highlighted an entry. Right here. Unscheduled system reboot. 2:02:04. There's a note. Remote override. He squinted. And a login ID. He clicked once to enlarge it. User A.Porter_corp. Who's that? Lena asked. Clay's Adam's apple bobbed. That's my district manager, Angela Porter. She's corporate. He let out a brittle laugh. She's not sitting at home rebooting our cameras at 2 in the morning. She doesn't even know the password. IT handles that. But someone used her credentials, Marcus said quietly. Lena turned back to the footage, replaying the 15 seconds before the reboot. The car rolled forward, the driver reaching out. The bag passed hands. Jess smiled, that tired automatic service smile. Can you zoom? Lena asked. He hesitated. It gets pretty grainy. Do it anyway. He zoomed in on the drive-through window frame, cropping out most of the car, pulling focus to where the driver's arm stretched. Pixels bloomed, edges roughening. More, Lena said. Clay zoomed again. The driver's hand, pale and long-fingered, extended toward the bag. Jess's hand reached out in mirror. The bag hovered mid-air between them. Stop, Lena said. Her heart kicked once hard. On the tiny, glitchy screen, in the mirror of the driver's side door, something else was visible, just a sliver, just a suggestion, bent by the angle. Another hand. It was faint, almost swallowed by reflection and noise, but it was there. Fingers resting lightly on the driver's shoulder from behind. Not his, smaller with what looked like black polish on the nails. Freeze it, Marcus murmured. Clay did. The room shrank. The fan whirred. Somewhere beyond the office, a timer beeped and the sizzle of oil answered it. But Lena's focus tunneled in on that warped, reflected image. One hand extended to pay, another already on him. He had a passenger, she said softly. Clay shook his head immediately. No, Jess would have said something. Policy is to ask if they need extra sauce per order. She didn't mention anyone else in the car. Interior mic? Marcus asked. We got audio? Clay tapped a key. A thin hiss of background noise filled the room, punctuated by the muffled sound of the drive-through headset. And that'll be 968 at the window, Jess's voice chirped. A beat, the motor's idle hum, a male voice answering, low, indistinct. Maybe a thanks or maybe a yeah. Then Jess again. Have a good one. Nothing else. No second voice. No overlapping conversation. Lena replayed the frame again, still focused on the mirror. Every time, the ghostly outline of that other hand appeared, fingers curved against fabric. How tall is your window? She asked. Clay blinked. Standard. Higher than shoulder level? She pressed. He thought about it. Yeah, you usually have to reach up a bit from a low car. Lena looked at Marcus. They both knew what that meant. Whoever touched his shoulder from the back seat had been leaning forward close enough to speak into his ear at the exact moment the cameras cut out. "But we only hear one voice," Marcus said. "Maybe they didn't need to talk," Lena replied. She couldn't shake the image. An unknown passenger, close enough to put a hand on the driver at the moment the cameras cut out. A remote override using a corporate account that should have been locked down. A car that never appeared on any other nearby camera, yet somehow ended up abandoned with the food still hot. She stepped back from the monitor. "I want a full copy of everything from tonight. All angles, all logs. Don't overwrite anything. Don't touch those systems until our techs have a look." "Yes, ma'am," Clay said.
Outside, they spoke briefly to Jess. The young woman stood by the dish sink, twisting her fingers in her apron. She remembered his order, his hoodie, his tired eyes. She swore the car was empty except for him. "I would have seen someone," she insisted. "You kind of lean out, you know? There's not a lot of room. It was just him." Lena didn't contradict her. Trauma made memory slippery. Fear made it worse. Back in the cruiser, Marcus started the engine, hands tight on the wheel. "You thinking carjacking?" he asked. "Passenger pulls a weapon and the minute we don't see, makes him drive off and dumps the car?" "Then why leave the food?" Lena asked. "Why leave his wallet and not his phone? Why not stay in the car and take him somewhere isolated?" Marcus didn't have an answer. The radio crackled. Dispatch updated. Unit canvassing 3 blocks around the abandoned car had found no witnesses, no clear camera angles. One doorbell cam caught the sedan's headlights for half a second, a blurred smear of light, no plate, no driver visible. Kai leaves the drive-thru. 10 minutes later, his car is empty with the door open and fries still steaming. It's like somebody plucked him out mid-sentence. Lena stared through the windshield at the glowing red letters of Horizon Burger across the lot, the drive-thru lane crawling with oblivious late-night customers. She thought about the reboot screen, that calm corporate font reading "System restarting" over the exact minute a man vanished. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out. A text from the duty sergeant, a link to an old case file. "You're gonna want to see this." Below, a headline from a local paper, dated 6 months earlier. "Woman's car found abandoned after drive-thru stop. No leads in disappearance of 24-year-old Jessica Cole." Lena's blood ran a degree colder. She opened the attached report. Same chain, different location, 20 miles south. Time of last known activity, 1:59 a.m. Drive-thru security footage lost due to technical malfunction. Cameras had reset. She scrolled to the technical note at the bottom, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. Unscheduled system reboot. Duration, 60 seconds. 2:00 a.m. to 2:01 a.m. Remote override. User a.porter.corp. Marcus watched her face pale. "What is it?" Lena turned the phone so he could see, then looked back towards Horizon Burger's harsh, sleepless lights. "It's not the first time," she said. And as the realization settled in, she knew one thing with bone-deep certainty. Whatever had happened to Dylan Reyes at the window of that drive-thru, it had been planned. Planned enough to erase him in exactly 60 seconds. By 6:14 a.m., the conference room at Elkhart Grove PD smelled like burnt coffee and tension. A dozen mismatched chairs surrounded a long table where 2 case files sat open like wounds. Dylan Reyes and Jessica Cole. 2 disappearances, 6 months apart, same fast food chain, same hour of night, same exact 1-minute camera blackout, same remote override login. Lena stood at the head of the table, arms crossed, exhaustion pulling at her eyelids but not dulling the urgency twisting inside her. Marcus slid into the chair beside her, holding 2 styrofoam cups. One's black, one's lighter, don't remember which is which. She took the darker one. "You're an optimist." "I'm a realist," he corrected. An optimist would think the camera's messed up by coincidence. A realist knows somebody's manufacturing ghosts. Before she could reply, the door opened and Captain Reeves stepped in. a man with a face that stayed in a permanent state of, "I don't have time for this." He tossed a folder onto the table. Tech team pulled preliminary logs. That reboot wasn't a system bug. It was a forced shutdown. Remote. Someone hit the cameras intentionally. "That's twice," Lena said, lifting the older file. Reeves grunted. "Yep, and it gets better. Your missing guy's phone pinged once after he left the drive-thru." "Where?" Marcus straightened. 2 blocks from the restaurant at 2:08 a.m., same area his car was found. "So he made it that far alive, or his phone did." "No pings after that." Reeves rubbed his face. "Phone's either smashed, powered off, or somewhere it can't connect." Lena stared at the map pinned to the wall. The route from Horizon Burger to the spot where the car was found was short. 3 turns, 1 streetlight, a few dark houses. Easy to vanish on. Reeves checked his watch. "Corporate liaison for Horizon Burger is coming in at 9. Handle it carefully. They've already expressed serious concern about public speculation, which means they're scared of lawsuits." Marcus snorted. "Or exposure." Reeves shot him a look. "Until we know what we're dealing with, keep theories off record." The captain left, door swinging shut behind him. Marcus tapped the old case file. "So, we've got 2 people vanishing after picking up burgers, timestamps wiped clean, a district manager's credentials used both times. You want to start with her?" "Absolutely," Lena said. Angela Porter lived in a glass-walled condo that looked like it had been sold with the word minimalist printed in gold letters. At 9:32 a.m., she opened the door wearing a blazer and heels, despite it being her day off. Her mouth was a polite corporate smile, but her eyes flicked nervously between the detectives' badges. "I heard there was an incident," she said, stepping aside, "but I don't know why you want to speak with me." Lena walked inside. "Your login credentials were used to remotely access store cameras during a missing persons case. Twice." Color drained from her face. "What? No, I barely know how to check staff schedules. Why would anyone—" "That's what we're hoping you can help us answer," Marcus said. Angela sank onto a stool at her immaculate kitchen island. "My credentials shouldn't even have remote permissions. Corporate IT handles all that." "Where's your laptop?" Lena asked. Angela pointed down the hall. "Office, but I rarely use it for anything beyond spreadsheets. Anyone else have access to it?" "No, I mean—" She hesitated. "My nephew stayed here over the weekend. College kid. He knows tech better than I do. But he's not—" Her voice faltered. "What?" Lena asked. Angela swallowed. "He worked at Horizon Burger last year." Marcus's eyebrows rose. "Which location?" "The one where the first woman disappeared." A beat of silence filled the spotless room. "Name?" Lena asked. Calvin Porter." "Mind if we check the laptop?" Marcus asked. Angela nodded quickly and hurried down the hall. The moment she was gone, Marcus exhaled. "Teenage tech whiz with access? Could be our remote login." "Maybe," Lena said. "Or maybe someone used her credentials without ever touching her laptop. You're thinking internal breach?" She nodded once, eyes narrowing. "Someone inside the company, someone with high-level access." Angela reappeared, laptop clutched to her chest. Her hands were trembling. "We'll need to take this in," Lena said gently. "Chain of custody." Angela nodded numbly. "We'll contact Calvin too," Lena added, "just to ask some questions." Angela's voice was barely a whisper. "Detective, do you think this is connected? The woman 6 months ago and this one?" "Yes," Lena said, with no hesitation. "I do." Back at the station, Tex pried open the laptop's logs. Within an hour, confirmation came. No remote activity, no strange login behavior, nothing connecting her to the reboot. "Credentials were cloned," the tech lead said. "Someone spoofed her account and broadcast it through a remote access port that was never meant for district managers to have." "Who does have access?" Lena asked. The tech lead grimaced. "Regional operations, IT security division, maybe some people in analytics." "How many?" Marcus pressed. "Dozens, maybe hundreds." Lena leaned back, frustration prickling under her skin. The circle wasn't shrinking, it was ballooning. Then her phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Check your email. You're looking in the wrong place." She frowned. Another buzz. "Unknown number. The cameras don't glitch on their own." A third.
Unknown number, and the passenger wasn't in the car at the window. Her blood chilled. "Spam?" Marcus asked. She turned the phone so he could read the last text. The passenger wasn't in the car at the window. Marcus's eyes darkened. "Who the hell?" Her email chimed. She opened it. One message. Subject, 020203. From, no reply at horizonburger.net. Attached was a single video file. Marcus leaned closer. "Open it." She did. The video wasn't from Horizon Burger. It wasn't from any camera angle they'd seen. It looked like it had been filmed from across the street, grainy, handheld, silent. The footage showed the drive-thru lane from a distance. The sedan rolled to the window. The driver leaned out. The cashier passed him the food. The timer in the corner read 020202. Then, a figure stepped into frame. Not from the other side of the car, not from the back seat, not from inside the restaurant. The figure appeared from behind the dumpster, walking calmly toward the sedan. Dark hoodie, head lowered, hands in pockets. At exactly 020203, the figure reached the rear door on the driver's side. The moment their hand touched the handle, the entire video glitched for a frame, then jumped ahead a full minute. When the footage resumed, the sedan was gone, the figure was gone, the timestamp read 020303. Lena felt her throat tighten. "This wasn't a passenger," she whispered. "He got in the car after the window. Someone approached him from outside." Marcus's voice dropped to a rasp. "And whoever filmed this wanted us to know." Before either could speak again, Lena's phone buzzed one more time with a final message from the unknown number. "If you want to find Dylan, you have 24 hours. After that, the trail goes cold." A second message pinged immediately after. "Meet me at the old Quarry Road turnout. Come alone, midnight." Lena's pulse thudded painfully in her ears. Marcus grabbed her wrist before she could close the phone. "You are not going alone." She shook her head slowly, eyes locked on the screen. "I have to," she said. "Whoever this is, they know more than we do. And if Dylan is still alive..." The weight of the timer hung heavy in the air. 24 hours, and someone who liked to erase people in 60 seconds was now inviting her into the dark.
The night felt wrong from the moment Lena left her driveway. Cold, but not the natural kind. Still, but not peaceful. The kind of stillness that made a detective check the back seat twice and keep a thumb near the holster. She drove without the radio on, without headlights for the last quarter mile, coasting in darkness toward the turnout on Quarry Road. The place had been abandoned after a rock slide 15 years ago. Locals avoided it. Teenagers dared each other to run toward it. Nobody stayed long. Her watch glowed 11:59 p.m. She parked, stepped out, closed the door quietly, and let her eyes adjust. Gravel crunched softly under her boots. A single street lamp flickered in the distance. No cars, no silhouettes, no voices. Just wind brushing along the old guardrail and the faint smell of wet limestone. At exactly 12 a.m., her phone buzzed. "Turn off your lights, don't speak." She hadn't turned any lights on, but the message chilled her anyway. A figure stepped into view from the deeper darkness ahead. Hood up, hands visible, empty. Not tall, not short, average. A nobody face under the shadows of the hood. Male, maybe young, hard to tell. He raised one hand in a gesture that meant stop. "Detective Mercer?" he said quietly. Lena didn't answer. He nodded as if satisfied. "Good, you followed instructions. That means we can skip the stupid parts." She kept her stance firm. "You have 60 seconds before I call backup." He smirked. "No, you don't, because you didn't tell them you were coming." He wasn't guessing. He knew. She exhaled slowly. "Why don't you tell me who you are?" "I'm someone who's been trying to expose what's happening for a long time." He glanced over his shoulder, paranoid. "Someone inside Horizon Burger isn't just covering up a crime, they're running it." "Running what?" "Extractions." The word struck like a hammer. Clinical, cold, wrong. He kept talking.
You saw what happened on the footage. I saw a figure approach Dylan's car, then everything glitched. That wasn't me, but I knew the cameras would be wiped, so I recorded from across the street. I knew they'd erase the timestamp. I knew the reboot would come. How? Because I used to help make it happen. Lena froze, every nerve sharpened. You worked for them? His jaw tightened. Regional operations. I handled routing, delivery schedules, staff rotations, but certain employees got flagged. He stepped closer. When a name came down the chain, cameras went offline. Every time, exactly 60 seconds, enough to grab someone, push them into a car, disappear them, and make it look like they drove away. Lena's voice was steady, but her pulse hammered. You're telling me Horizonberger is kidnapping people? Yes, but not the company, people inside it. Why Dylan? Why Jessica? His face tightened. Because they were chosen. For what? He opened his mouth to speak, but stopped. Something rustled behind them. Not leaves, not wind. Footsteps. The hooded man pulled back instantly, eyes widening. You led them here. No, she started. But headlights exploded across the turnout. A van barreled forward, engine roaring, tires spitting gravel. A spotlight mounted on the roof snapped on, slicing through the darkness. The hooded man shoved Lena hard to the ground. Run! The spotlight blinded everything. Doors slammed open. Boots thundered out. Voices, muffled, commanding, too synchronized to be random criminals. Lena scrambled behind the boulder, heart slamming. The hooded man wasn't so lucky. Two figures grabbed him, forced him to his knees. One held a stun baton. Wait! Lena shouted. They didn't wait. The baton cracked once against the man's ribs. He convulsed and dropped like a puppet with severed strings. Before she could move, a third figure swung around the van holding a tablet, the kind used by corporate field managers. The screen reflected off his eyes. He pressed a button. The spotlight cut. The world went black. And in that instant of darkness, something metallic clacked, like a car door opening. When the lights flashed back on, the hooded man was gone. Van gone. Footsteps gone. Silence. Everything gone. Except for one thing. On the ground where the hooded man had been forced down, a small rectangular object glinted in the headlights of Lena's abandoned sedan. She crawled toward it. A phone. Not hers. Not Dylan's. Not Jessica's. A cheap burner. Its screen was cracked, but still lit. One message was open. You have 2 hours. He's still alive. Check the files. Room 314. No cameras. Horizonberger, corporate. The timestamp on the message, 11:59 p.m. 1 minute before she arrived. Her breath fogged in the cold night. Room 314, she repeated under her breath. Marcus was going to lose his mind. Captain Reeves would forbid it. Internal affairs would demand she step back. Corporate lawyers would swarm like hornets. But none of that mattered. Someone had taken Dylan. Someone had erased the hooded informant in seconds. Someone inside a multi-state franchise had a system for making people vanish and a cleanup crew trained to wipe witnesses with military precision. She stood, jaw tightening. She knew where room 314 was. Horizonberger's regional headquarters. 3rd floor. An unused operations storage suite. She'd walked past it during a corporate liaison meeting last year. Locked, unmarked, always cold. Now she knew why. She got in her car, turned the engine, and sped toward the lights. She didn't call backup, didn't call Marcus, didn't call anyone. This wasn't going in the report. This wasn't going through channels. 2 hours, and a room that wasn't supposed to exist. Horizonberger Regional Headquarters was a quiet brick building tucked between a bank and a dental office. Safe, corporate, harmless. At night, it was dead still except for the motion fluorescence that flickered awake as she pushed through the back door using a universal lockpick key she wasn't supposed to have. 3rd floor. She took the stairs 2 at a time. Her breath was sharp in the cold air. At the top, a long hallway stretched out, hushed, carpeted, lined with framed slogans about teamwork and customer satisfaction. And there, halfway down, room 314. No plaque, no window, no keypad, just a simple knob. She turned it, unlocked. Inside was darkness, a hum of machinery, cold. She stepped in and flicked on her phone flashlight, and froze. Not a storage room, a monitoring room, a wall of screens, server racks, boxes labeled with store numbers, maps with routes, drive-through diagrams, camera logs, timestamp override scripts, a whiteboard with columns, identified, cleared, extracted. Lena's stomach turned. But the worst thing wasn't the tech. It was the chair in the center. And the man slumped in it. Dylan Reyes. Alive. Eyes half open, breathing fast, wrists zip-tied, a bruise on the temple. His voice was raw. Help. She rushed forward, then stopped. A phone sat on a metal tray beside him. Her phone buzzed. A new message from the same unknown number. Step away from him. You're not alone in that room. A floorboard creaked behind her. Slow, deliberate. She turned. A figure stood in the doorway. Not masked, not hooded, wearing a Horizon Burger corporate blazer. Her badge clipped neatly to the pocket. Angela Porter, the district manager. Her voice was calm, emotionless, chilling. Detective Mercer, you should never have come here. Lena's hand moved toward her holster. Angela lifted a finger. 60 seconds, that's all we ever need. She raised a small device, a remote. Pressed it. The lights went out. Lena reached for her gun. She wasn't fast enough. A blow struck the back of her skull. Pain burst white. She fell. Sound faded. Her last thought before darkness swallowed her was a single looping realization. She was now one of the missing minutes. 2 days later, a maintenance worker at Horizon Burger HQ found a drive in the dumpster behind the building. Police later claimed it contained only corrupted data. They never released what was actually on it. But one file, labeled 314_exitcam.mp4, circulated briefly online before vanishing. It showed a woman stumbling from a dark room into a stairwell, blood on her forehead, clutching another man's hand as alarms blared. Detective Lena Mercer and Dylan Reyes, alive, running. Behind them, a figure in a corporate blazer stepped into the doorway holding a tablet, expression calm, practiced, in control. The video cut out at exactly 00100. 60 seconds. A final message appeared on screen in white text. The truth won't stay gone forever. Subscribe before the next minute disappears.